space. Our reputation has also grown in the commercial sector as Irish companies make fantastic strides across the globe. Brands in the food and beverage sector spring to mind like Kerrygold, Jameson, Bushmills and so on. They're all world renowned. Now our next speaker and his colleagues can take justifiable pride in the job that they have done to put this Irish company, their Irish company, at the very pinnacle of their sector on the world stage. Born and reared and headquartered in Ireland, Ryanair has grown to become Europe's biggest airline and the leading low-cost airline on the entire globe. Can you give a very warm welcome to one of our own from here in Cork and a graduate of UCC, Ryanair's Chief Marketing Officer, Kenny Jacobs.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. District Governor Declan, President Jur, international guests, Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope some happy customers of Ryanair. Yes. This morning, I'm going to take you on a bit of a whirlwind tour. I want to talk to you about Ryanair, where it came from in its 30-year history, where we are today as a business, a lot of what we've changed over the past 2 years, because we're one of those businesses that people say, wow, so much has changed at Ryanair over the past 2 years, and that's really what I want to talk about, what those changes are, why we did it, and how it's working, and then talk a little bit about what's going to happen next. Ryanair, we're really, really big. I think everybody knows that. Here in Ireland, our home market, I don't think people always fully appreciate the scale of Ryanair across Europe. This year we'll carry 104 million customers across 74 bases. If you look at the map of Europe, this is our map of Europe. Every single day we'll have about 330,000 customers on one of our planes in the skies over Europe. We fly to 31 different markets. That's 195 different airports, and we've got 320 of the very same Boeing aircraft, and we have another 380 aircraft on order over the next 9 years. The coverage we have on that map of Europe behind me is very important. When Ryanair started, people would have said, they bring you to the places that you don't really want to go. People would have said, where's Carcassonne, where's Perpignan, where are some of these places in Spain, Germany, and the UK that they're flying to. What we've been doing in the past 3 years is adding a lot of what are called primary airports to sit alongside those airports. 30 years ago when Ryanair started, people considered it a pirate airline. At the time when those first flights were happening between Waterford in Ireland and Gatwick, the Irish government, the British government, Brussels, Aer Lingus, British Airways, everybody wanted Ryanair not to happen. They knew that it was the low-cost airline model that Southwest had perfected in the United States being brought to Europe. And Ryanair and that first Waterford-Gatwick flight was the first low-cost flight in Europe. So it was really disrupting what was a very, very cozy cartel. A cartel that was great for Aer Lingus and BA. It was great for the big airports like Dublin and Heathrow. It was great for the trade unions. The only loser was customers. So 30 years ago, the average fare from Dublin to Heathrow was over 300 Irish pounds at the time. And the Irish government used to actually set the fare from Dublin to Heathrow. That's only 30 years ago. This was a cozy cartel, a model that worked in Ireland and it worked across Europe. So we do hold ourselves up as the first ones to take on and break that model. And since then, you've seen the rise of low-cost airlines across Europe. The one thing that we do better than anybody is just have the cheapest fares. And whatever anyone says, this is the thing that matters most. Because you don't get to become the biggest airline in Europe unless you do something really, really well and you have something that everybody wants, and that's the cheapest fares. Last year, our average fare across Europe was 47 euros. If you contrast that with EasyJet, they'd be 84. If you look at Aer Lingus, they're 94. If you look at British Airways, which is part of IAG, you see their average fare was 231. So the average European travelling anywhere on Europe on a single flight is paying 156 euros for that flight. So for us, the one thing that we'll never lose sight of is just have the cheapest fares. This is where we are in the various markets in Europe. We're the number one airline in Europe. We've got about 15% market share across Europe. We're the number one in Ireland, number one in Poland, number one in Spain, in Italy, and we're number two in Portugal. We'll be number one there by the end of the year. We're number two in Morocco. That's not that big. We're number two in the UK, which is very, very important. And we're number three in Germany, and that's the market that we're going to focus most on over the next 5 years. The two ones I would call out there, well, to begin with, Ireland. Ireland's important, but it's small in our business. Ireland is about 5% of the business. The UK market is the market across Europe that gets low-cost airlines more than anybody else. About 62% of all of the flights in and out of the UK are on a low-cost airline. The country with the least penetration of low-cost airlines is actually Germany. We've only got 5% market share in Germany. The German air industry has been pretty much locked up between the big airports and Lufthansa. But what we intend to do over the next 5 years is go from 5% to 20% market share in Germany. Lufthansa has a lot of problems at the moment. They have big problems with their unions in terms of crew, unions on the ground, and also their pilots are going on strike 8 times in the past year. That really suits us. German airports now really want Ryanair at their airports. And German consumers are looking for a low-cost offer. You know, the country that gave us little Aldi, they get low cost, so they would get low-cost flying. So Germany is a huge part of our focus in the next number of years. We intend to grow, if you go to the very right of that chart as you're looking at it, by 2024 we intend to get to somewhere north of 160 million customers, which by that time will probably be the second biggest airline in the world, with a fleet of around 520 aircraft. But, kind of said we're big, but a few things needed to change. Ryanair did start off as Robin Hood, the nice one on the right, but somewhere along the way we did go from being cheap and cheerful to a little bit cheap and nasty. And about 2 years ago, there was a realization that yes, we had the lowest fares, yes, we had a great choice of flights available to customers, but the service was a little rough around the edges, and the take it or leave it, or take it and F off if you don't like it approach wasn't really built for the future. So I think fair play to Michael, the CEO, he did kind of put up his hand and say, sorry, yeah, we got those bits wrong, but watch what we're going to do next. And what happened over the next 2 years is what we've done next. We've kind of gone from this, a very incoherent, quite often just cavalier airline to something that's a lot nicer. The key things I call out there, obviously in addition to the wonderful puppy that has put manners on the bold Mr. O'Leary, we've kind of got our act together. The biggest thing that's making a difference there is at the top center, and that's our new app. If you take 40% of the visits to Ryanair.com are now from a mobile device. So that's just reflecting the big change in digital behaviour that we would see, that customers more and more across all countries in Europe, of all ages, are really doing everything on their phones. That's driving a huge amount of bookings. We've really improved the website. We've rebranded the whole airline as Ryanair, low fares made simple, and we've generally spruced everything up, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. For me, as someone coming in with the job of, and I'm accountable for sales and marketing and change at Ryanair, I think it was really, what got me excited at the time was, Ryanair's like kryptonite. It has the lowest fares, it's a really great product, but it wasn't really managed from a marketing point of view in a way that you could really get everything out of it. So it was a fantastic product. It's about taking that product, which is always about value, but also talking about the choice of where you can fly with Ryanair, the breadth of the schedule. It's about adding a product for business travelers, it's about adding a product for family travelers, and it's about the experience. The experience is what happens when you go to the airport, you're at the airport, you're flying with Ryanair, that entire end-to-end travel experience, which is what we've really been focusing on. We've started to listen to customers, we're innovating really fast, and over the past 2 years, people are now talking about Ryanair within the industry as being the innovators. Still low cost, still really ruthless when it comes to having the lowest fares and not being beaten by the competition, and we'll still have a go at bureaucracy and all those things that we don't really like, but we love innovation. Who we compare ourselves to, I wouldn't compare us to any other airline. We actually compare ourselves to Aldi, to IKEA, to H&M, to Hyundai when it comes to cars, and to Amazon when it comes to how good we want to be when it comes to digital. We're not like Aer Lingus, we never have been. We're not like British Airways, we're not like Marks and Spencer's, and we're not like Brown Thomas. We are one of those discount brands. And what you see in Ireland, what you see across Europe, is the rise of discount living. 8 years ago in Ireland, if you shopped in Aldi, and I know this because I used to work for Tesco, 8 years ago, shopping in Aldi meant things must be tough. It was a bit of a badge of shame to kind of, shop at Aldi. Now it's become a badge of honour, and you hear the great and the good in C4 and D4 talking about the Aldi Prosecco. So we're one of those discount brands, just like Aldi, just like IKEA. What we're doing though, we're going from being just about price and cost to being always about price and cost, but also about choice and improving the experience. This is pretty much the plan that has shaped everything we've done. We call that the Always Getting Better program at Ryanair. It's got 5 pillars. They are fix the things that customers don't like, improve the travel experience, improve the digital experience, improve the product, and improve the brand and marketing. That's all about driving retention of customers and driving better returns for shareholders. Whatever business you're in, and wherever you're in business, one thing is always simple. It's much easier to get the same people coming back again and again and again, and that's simply what we want to do. Our strategy used to be about open new airports in new markets and you acquire loads of new customers. We now simply want to get the customers we have saying, you know what, when I can, I'll fly Ryanair. These are all the things we've done. There's a lot. Always Getting Better has now become a 3-year program of change at Ryanair. The biggest things we did in the first year were we launched a new website where you went from 20 clicks to make a booking to 5 clicks to make a booking. We let customers now bring 2 bags on board, and we've introduced allocated seating. We've introduced a product called Family Extra for families who want to travel with us, and we've introduced a business product. In the first year, our traffic went up 11% and our load factors went up 88%. In year 2, we've introduced a new car hire and hotel option for our customers. We've introduced a better version of the mobile app for iPhones and for Android phones. We've reduced fees like golf club fees, golf bag fees, the fees you pay when you're reading skis, and we've put Ryanair fares on the GDS partnerships, which is how you book a corporate ticket. And we've launched an American website because we see at certain times of the year visits from Americans are about a third of the visits to the website who are planning their summer trips in Europe. So over the 2 years that I've highlighted, our financial year 15 and 16, traffic up 11 and 12%, load factors up 5% and 2%. The thing we're most proud of, that 5 and 2% load factor, so 7% load factor is 14 additional customers on every single Ryanair flight. That's the thing our shareholders love most because that's pure profit. If you take the summer that just went, over the 12 weeks of June, July and August, you can see that we've carried over 30 million customers in those 12 weeks. We had a load factor over 95%. That means that only 5% of the seats were available, weren't sold, and our punctuality was over 90%. We broke a world record in July as the first airline to carry 10 million international customers in 1 month, and we beat our own record in August when we carried 10.4. So we've had a great summer, we've had a great year. That 12 weeks of the summer for Ryanair, that's more than the annual traffic of Air France, it's more than the annual traffic of BA, it's more than the annual traffic of KLM. So I think what we've changed and what we haven't changed is there's a lot of academic interest in Ryanair, the change story, because we've changed and executed that change so quickly. I think it's a classic keep the baby in the bathwater. The baby in the bathwater is what's at the top left-hand side. We've kept the focus on cost. We are really ruthless when it comes to cost. We've kept the pressure on having the lowest fares. We've kept our punctuality. We've kept the airport choice that customers want. And we've kept on delivering superior shareholders' returns. What we've changed on the bottom right-hand side is we've really embraced digital, and this is a time of change across any industry, but particularly in the airline business, digital is driving a huge amount of change. We've really focused on the in-flight experience, we've improved the brand, and now the brand is a big pan-European brand that stands for low fares made simple. We've added a lot more primary airport choice. Just in the past 4 weeks, we've announced that we're going to fly to Amsterdam Schiphol, we're flying to Milan Malpensa, as well as Milan Bergamo, and over the past 18 months, we've added Copenhagen, we've added Cologne, we've added Berlin, we've added Lisbon, we've added Athens. You're going to see us add a lot more primary airports. There's now only 3 airports we don't think we will fly to. They're Heathrow, Charles de Gaulle, and Frankfurt. I'm aware there's a lot of people here from Northern Ireland, and it is a blank spot on our map, but we would like to be very big in Belfast quite soon. We would have over 1 million customers every year from Northern Ireland who fly with Ryanair from Dublin. Now, the road from Northern Ireland to Dublin is pretty fast and is a great choice, but we would like to have a big base in Belfast quite soon to make it more simple for customers in Northern Ireland to get lower fares. And I think a new focus on the customer. We now, as I said, listen, and we love listening to customers because they give you great ideas and they give you good feedback. This is the new uniform, which we announced a couple of weeks ago, because it's one of the things, you have to bring the crew with you. These people are the ones who actually serve customers on board. So we are investing in really freshening up the interiors. The crew are a key part of that. And this is what the new interior of a Ryanair aircraft will start to look like. These come in with the new aircraft. This is called a Boeing Sky Interior. It's much more spacious. The windows on these aircraft are about 1.5 times the size of the existing fleet. We're also introducing new seats that give you more space, have things like a coat hook on the chair in front so you can hang up your jacket. And we're toning down the yellow because, yes, a lot of customers did say it's really yellow. So that's what the new interior will look like. When it comes to Ryanair in Ireland, Ireland's about 5% of the business here. We have 3 bases, we fly from 6 airports. Next year we'll carry around 14 million customers. 10 to 11 of those will be in Dublin, the rest will be across the other airports. And we're based here. You know, everyone who works for Ryanair is paying their tax in Ireland. We are a big part of the Irish economy. In the UK, we have 12 bases, 16 airports, 430 routes. Next year in the UK, we'll carry 35 million customers. So we're absolutely huge in the UK, and we obviously want to overtake EasyJet in the UK market. So in summary, and I'd love to take questions then if you have some, always getting better has kind of become what we call the North Star guiding the change at Ryanair. It's really worked in terms of taking a business that did low cost and low fares very well, and we've now become a great innovator. We love listening to customers, we love change, we love trying new things, and we love expanding quite quickly. We've got 380 new aircraft coming, so we're going to end up with a fleet that's really huge, and we get to over 160 million customers, and probably we estimate a profit of somewhere close to 2 billion after tax profit in about 5 to 8 years' time. This year we've upgraded our profit 3 weeks ago to 1.2 billion after tax. Yes, we and every other airline is getting the benefit of cheaper fuel. That's why you as consumers this coming winter will see cheaper fares than you've ever seen before. But cheaper fuel doesn't put more people on your airplanes. That's what giving a better experience does. Ireland is very important. Dublin is the centre of the Irish economy. Not every one of you will like hearing that, but that is where the big growth comes from. The Irish government kind of did lead the way a year ago when they dropped airports travel tax, because that's really allowed us to bring in an additional 1 million customers into Dublin, half of whom will be tourists spending money. And we intend to become the #1 travel platform. One final thing I'd say, we see ourselves in 2 years' time being a travel business that specialises in flights. But we want to get into a lot of other things, and I think the changes we've made under Always Getting Better mean that we'll be able to do that. 3 years ago, I wouldn't have booked a holiday with Ryanair, but probably in 2 years' time, Ryanair Holidays will be one of the biggest packaged holiday brands that you'll see. So that was it. Thanks for your time this morning. It's lovely to be talking to you, and I'd love to take some questions now, as open and direct and as critical as you can make them, to make for a better conversation. Thank you.
Kenny has indicated we'd like to take questions, and he is interested in hearing from the customers, and I guess all of us in this room are customers. I know that I'm a very satisfied customer of Ryanair, because my daughter is in college in London for the last year. We'll be there for another couple of years, and we get to see her quite a lot, thanks to Ryanair fares. I'm also a Ryanair shareholder, and the shares have gone up by something like 80% in a year. So good on you, Kenny, you're doing a great job. So German Commons has a roving mic, President Ger has a roving mic, and I think we're ready to actually to take our first question.
Good morning everyone, my name is David Wright from Newbridge, a club in Newbridge. I've only good things to say about Ryanair. I sold them a software system for their HR in '87. I carried ads on their flights. Used to have an in-flight magazine in the late '80s, and you had it for 3 months. So at the top right-hand page, the Wright brothers fly the Irish Sea. And I've been a loyal customer of yours. So I really want to encourage you. I did sit in your head offices in about '89, was in the HR business, saying, why did you steal the other half of the Southwest model, which is customer service? But you got there in the end. And I just really want to congratulate you. You were slow on digital, on the digital end and booking. And one time, I was trying to make a booking and I couldn't get through to the call centre. But I knew the people in the building below, which was the port service in Island Bridge. I said, would you having a cup of tea, get them to ring me in the canteen. And the next day I get a call from Ryanair, Mr. Wright, would you like to book with us? So congratulations, I've only good things to say about Ryanair.
Introduce your name as you address Kenny's question, please.
And if there are some genuine haters of Ryanair, please put up your hand and ask.
Hello, I'm Carol Spence from the Alarm Club. I have never flown with Ryanair, and because of the reputation Ryanair have, I always said I never would. I don't think I'm alone in that. How are you going to get this message across to the general public?
And there are lots of people who would still say that. I would say the biggest thing we can do is get to Belfast, if that's your closest airport, because you don't have access to the product. So for starters, you're probably thinking, crap, I'm going to drive to Dublin and fly with Ryanair. So the first thing we can do is actually make the product available to you, and then have you try the product. We'll promote, we'll communicate, we'll advertise, and hope that you want to fly with us on one of the places that we fly to. And I'd be pretty convinced that you will see, gosh, this is better than I thought. The other thing we do is we don't get too upset about it, because if you really focus on that small group of customers, less than 5% you'd say, I'll try not to fly Ryanair, you can do the wrong thing. So we are really focusing on the customers that are generally satisfied. I don't want anyone to love Ryanair. I don't believe short-haul flying in Europe is an emotional experience. You want to get from A to B, you want it to be on time, you want your bag not to be lost, and you want to pay a low fare. So we want to be very good at functional excellence. I don't want people to be gushing, waxing lyrical about how wonderful Ryanair is. I don't expect them to. But the things we'll do are get to Belfast so that you can actually try us, and then I'm convinced that when you try us that you will say, gosh, that's better than I thought. And we will constantly work on improving the experience. But I do fully accept there are people out there who did have a bad experience, who probably thought they got badly treated, and it will take us some time to convince them. But so far, 14 additional people on every single flight in an 18-month period, we're doing the right things to get there.
Put your hands up, don't be shy, folks. Question over here, Jared, in the centre of the room. Over here. Yeah.
My turn? Okay, thank you. Clean Array from the Rotary Club of Coleraine. Just following on from the previous question, what plans have you got to reduce the taxation at Belfast Airport, as the government have done down in Dublin? Because that's one of the reasons we go to Dublin, is so we can fly out at a better rate.
That's a great question. We are constantly harassing the British government to do what the Irish government have done to remove travel tax. What we think is going to happen, so they've already removed travel tax for children under the age of 16 travelling out of the UK and Northern Ireland. If you saw in Scotland, one of the first things the Scottish government put on the agenda for their own tax regime was that they wanted to remove travel tax out of Scotland. Now straight away the airports in the north of England, like Manchester, like Leeds, like Newcastle, have said, well, hang on a second, that means people in the north of England are going to drive to Scotland like they are from Northern Ireland to Dublin, because the fares are cheaper because you don't have travel tax. So we expect It's going to take, Cameron will do it in this current government. They will remove travel tax. We also think the Germans are going to do it. The Irish have done it, the Belgians have done it, and the Dutch have done it so far. So we will keep harassing the British government that they remove travel tax overall on the basis that it will bring in additional tourists into Great Britain, who will spend money in hotels, in restaurants, and do everything, and ultimately it will raise more tax revenue for the British Exchequer than the travel tax does. So that will cover Northern Ireland, and the Scots wanting to do their own thing might accelerate that faster.
Thanks very much, Kenny. Take somebody from your plan, David.
Kevin McAnally, Dublin. I've also travelled a lot from Paphos. One of the frustrating things of your mobile website is the My Ryanair. I travel with EasyJet, but many times that's the best way of getting out of Paphos, even though Ryanair has made it a fantastic base. But the EasyJet website will allow me to have passport information on the website, which makes the booking process easy. To end up travelling from Paphos to Stansted, and Stansted to Dublin, to book those flights here and back takes quite a long time just because of that single link. So, 2 questions. When will you be able to have the passport information on the website? And secondly, when are you going to fly from Paphos to Dublin?
Okay. I'll do the second one first, because I think pretty soon. So we're now the number 2 airline in Greece. The Southeast Mediterranean is a big focus for us. We tried to buy Cyprus Airways last year. They didn't want to sell it to us in the end. But 3 years ago, Ryanair had 0 customers in Greece because we didn't operate there. And now next year we have about 7 million customers. So we're getting on very well in Greece, and we're actually doing domestic flights within Greece. So Paphos to Dublin, I would expect to be potentially an option even this next summer. But it will certainly be a part of the geography that we're very interested in. We've also started flying to Israel. So that whole geography, including Turkey, once it becomes part of European open skies, we would really say, yeah, we're going to get big there. On the first question, yeah, you're absolutely right. At the moment, the EasyJet app and website does allow you to do more with your passport. What you're going to see in about 4 to 8 weeks' time is we'll introduce both in the app and the website. The app is the best way to use that. You just take your phone, you just take a picture of your passport, and it will automatically, your phone can do this with using an iPhone or an Android phone. It will scan the passport and automatically save your passport details into your My Ryanair profile. You'll do the same with your credit card. I'll do the same for my 2 kids. And then all you'll simply do, like when you're shopping on Amazon, is say, right, this is who's flying from Dublin to Paphos. You just click the passengers' names, you tick their names, but all the passport details will be already saved. So we want to get to a place, almost every Wednesday I fly Dublin to Gatwick. So I'm always on the first flight. So I want to get to a place where I open up my phone, open up the Ryanair app, and literally just, dear Kenny, are you flying, as you always do, Dublin to Gatwick this Wednesday, and just have one click buy. That's what we want to do. So we're still playing catch up on this stuff, but what you've outlined will be there in about 4 to 8 weeks, and then we'll just keep looking at how can we make this better. We want you to tell us about your preferences, etc., etc. The more you tell us as a customer in your My Ryanair profile, the more we'll actually target you with individual incentives. So we would like to offer you money off restaurants in Paphos, things you can do in Paphos when you're flying, etc., etc.
Thank you, Kenny. No, over to you, Fred.
Good morning. My name is Ty Brown, Clonmel Rotary Club. Just as a matter of interest, I'm not sure if the Cork people here would know that Michael O'Leary, your CEO, all his connections are in my hometown of Cantor. His father Teddy and his mother Isabel Catherine from Cantor. So that's one thing I want to say. I'm a regular flyer with Ryanair, and one of the issues I have is if you're taking connecting flights, for example, Stansted to Athens. If you're going from Dublin to Athens, you go to Stansted, but you have to take off your cases and check them back on again. And Stansted is a nightmare. Any plan to change that slightly here with most young airlines?
That it is at the moment. Stansted Airport, which is huge, is going through a refit. They're doing a huge amount of work within the terminal. That is slowing down the Stansted experience if you want to fly from or fly into Stansted. So we're on their case about that. It does need to get better, and it will get better come November when the work finishes. On the other thing, on connections, no immediate plans. That's not entirely our choice. That's the airport. And Stansted doesn't do connections. So that's up more up to the airport than it is up to us. We are looking at what are versions of that we can do. So what is a more streamlined version where you might have to go through, but you don't have to worry about the bag. The bag can go straight through. Obviously, if you're connecting on 2 Ryanair flights, we think that should be possible. So it is one of the things that we're looking at for the future to say what's a version of that we can do that makes it more simple for customers, or can we actually do connections out of Stansted? Because a lot of people actually would, not just going from somewhere in Ireland to Stansted to go somewhere else in Europe, but a lot of the Europeans do commit. Stansted Airport is very, very interesting. Stansted Airport is the most connected European airport. So there's 160 different places in Europe fly into Stansted. If you contrast that with Heathrow, there's only 50 places in Europe fly into Stansted. So Stansted is Europe's most European airport, if you look at it that way. But we're working to make Stansted better, full stop, and we're working on what could be a tightened way of connecting just to make it more simple.
Hello, Jim Briggs, Ballymena. The last Ryanair flight I was on from the Algarve to Porto will cost me €19.99. Just thank you very much for it.
That's sorry you paid so much.
And you hit the mark. Can I look at the other side of the business? Aldi, places like this, I know have got charitable wings. Do Ryanair have an ethos of giving as well, or joining in and giving?
We do. We currently partner with Jack and Jill, who are an Irish charity, and it is one of the things that we're looking at. So in the coming months, you'll see us announce a pan-European charity that will allow customers to give, and we will also be giving ourselves. So it's one of the things that we do want to step up and do it in a pan-European way. So yes, I think we do it. We do it quite well out of Ireland, and we raise a lot of money for an Irish charity. We want to continue to do that, but we also want to do the same on a pan-European basis. And I think that absolutely ties in with the new identity, with the new brand positioning, that we listen, we care. I don't think, you're not going to, Michael O'Leary doesn't do a good impersonation of Mother Teresa. We will do a bit.
Hi, you might have noticed in our branding work.
Introduce yourself as a.
Sorry, Patrick. My name is Gonia Bagnall and I represent Youth for Ireland in Rotary. I believe our colours and our branding will go very well, and I'd love to see the Rotary Ireland brand on a Ryanair flight. My question to you, we've learned exceptionally a lot today. I know you recently were at one of our Rotary clubs, invited a lot of our guests to share with us today in our room. We have all that's great and wonderful about Rotary, like the Ryanair story, but what we are facing a little bit of a challenge in is attracting new members, is attracting younger people in. And I believe in the whole Ryanair model of success as people are travelling, and you're watching the profile of children you spoke about, of many of our Rotarians in the room today. Have you any tips, guidance or advice to us to kind of up our game, keep focused, because that I can truly say we are very focused about what we're about, but how can we up our game to reach your guys' level? Thank you.
Well, you've asked me, so I'd say one thing I would do. I remember leaving UCC at 24, and you I think 20, if you take the UK and Ireland, it's probably something across Europe. I think there's a bit of a sweet spot between people between 23 and 32, where you're kind of finding yourself as an adult, probably buying a home and finding the love of your life. I think trying to target people at that stage where they consider themselves working, they've started their professional life, they're buying suits and all that stuff. I think that would be a sweet spot where you could say, this is an association you can join, post-university or post that stage of your life, and target some of the marketing there and make Rotary a relevant proposition to that age group. Because at 23, before they know it, they'll be 33, before they know it, they're 43. And I think if you start there, I think that's one thing I would do to attract more members at that stage. They'll become chartered accountants, they'll become lawyers, they'll become whatever they're going to become. But at that stage where they're just kind of focused on, I gotta kind of get my shit together as a young adult.
Thank you.
Donald Gordon from Dublin Club. You target the summer holiday business very directly. You operate schedules all over Europe during the summer, yet a lot of those shut down towards the autumn. And what we don't see is a targeting of the ski resorts such as Innsbruck, Bolzano and the like. Are you laying your planes up during the winter, or what are you doing?
We used to lay a lot more planes up during the winter, so Ryanair, our financial year starts from the 1st of April, so our first half of the year is the 1st of April up until the end of September, and that really was the peak season in the summer. And then we used to ground a lot of aircraft during the winter. Actually, for the past 2 years, we're grounding considerably less aircraft than we did before. So this coming winter, compared to the winter of 2 years ago, we're only grounding a third of the aircraft we were grounding before. So yes, you're right to say that, and that did mean then that you had more contracted offer in the winter months. Now, last year we did start to put on more flights to the existing ski-type resorts, and we would want to put on more flights again, and we would want to fly to more destinations. That means Switzerland, and the Swiss market is hard to get into. But what you will see us doing is more and more Italy. So, Milan, Bergamo, actually during the winter gets a huge amount of skiers which fly to Milan, Bergamo, because it's quite a good place to start your ski trip from. It's an efficient airport. And we'll be starting to do more in southern Germany and southern France as well. So it's in our plans. It's a very lucrative sector of the market because people going on ski holidays tend to be ABC ones. They have more money and they're willing to pay more for their fare. So it's one of the things that we're looking to do. Full stop, and we're also looking to ground less aircraft during the winter. So that's part of those kind of leisure trips. More of the aircraft that we don't ground this winter will work on business routes. So that will mean the Porto, Lisbon route, that will mean Warsaw to Gdansk, that will mean Edinburgh, Glasgow to Scotland. So what that does from a business point of view just levels out for a year, because Ryanair used to make all of the profit in the summer, and then actually the winter used to be about managing a loss. Last financial year was the first ever winter half of the year where Ryanair made a profit, and that's something that we like and we want to continue to do. So doing more leisure and doing more domestic business routes is a key part of that.
Well, I'd just like to say that flight only to Innsbruck, for example, next January, you'll have to go to a charter company and they're charging €400 plus for a return flight.
It's very expensive, but Innsbruck Airport is also ridiculously expensive, and probably will be one of the few airports that hasn't really come around to our way of thinking yet. We would promise them, if you give us a good deal, we would say to Innsbruck, if you give us a good deal, trust us, we'll bring in as many people as you want. And the ski resorts would love that as well. Some of them would.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for one more question before.
Thanks, Chairman. Michael Kennedy is the name from Dublin Fingal. In my past life, I have been involved in the political scene, and I had a number of public spats with Michael O'Leary in relation to Terminal 2. I was always a firm believer it was very necessary and would be good for the economy, etc. I'm just wondering, Michael was always very much against it. Would you know if he's changed his mind, or Ryanair as an organisation now come to accept that Terminal 2 is a good terminal, one of the best in the world, I would suggest?
Terminal 2 is definitely a good terminal. I would say it's one of the most expensive in the world, and it probably still is the definition of the white elephant of the Celtic Tiger era, because it was built at a ridiculous price, and the Irish government shouldn't have done that at the time. That makes Dublin more expensive to land customers in and for customers to take off from. I think, yes, if we could all have our time again in Ireland, people would probably say, yeah, we need to do some of those big projects. So it costs too much money to build. If Dublin Airport needs to grow, so yes, it needed an annual terminal and a solution that would have been better. So yes, it is a good terminal, but it was built at too much cost to the Irish taxpayer, and we're very happy with the terminal that we're flying from as our customers. But it's kind of watering the bridge at this stage. Dublin is growing now. Actually, Michael Moon making a very sensible decision to drop travel tax has kind of more than made up for